What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Turn the Jets podcast. I'm your host, Will Parkinson, at Will Pod 11 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, host of All 32 Pod, TOJ Talks, TOJ Pod. Coming off a Jets loss last night, obviously did the full recap pod, did the instant reaction on the Badlands feed. Going to come on here, just talk a little bit more after watching the tape, kind of taking a night to sleep on it, being able to watch everything back a second and third time, kind of see what really unfolded. Obviously hard sometimes in the TV copy to really know what's kind of going on. Disappointing loss, obviously. I think we kind of start there, and I'll get into the positive first, and then kind of move into more of the negatives. But I think from a positive standpoint, and kind of just where things kind of settled last night. Obviously, I think the disappointing part of this game was that it felt pretty uncompetitive for at least like 60% of this game. I think the first quarter was awesome from the Jets, generally speaking. Not all awesome, but obviously mostly good. Leaving the quarter 7-3. I guess technically finished strong, but quarters 2 and 3 were an abject disaster. The Jets offense barely was on the field. The defense couldn't get off the field, and you kind of leave with a sour taste in your mouth. I think the most important thing in this game, obviously, was leaving with Aaron Rodgers healthy. I think there's no question about it. It's pretty straightforward, right? I think healthy, Rodgers looking pretty good, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but that's obviously the main thing. And then it was obviously kind of winning the football game, knowing it's a non-conference game, hardest opponent, on the road, first game of the year. No McCaffrey, but like they still have their dogs, and they're a proven winner. They're a team that knows how to win. They've been together for a while now, and extremely physical. All those different types of things. I think from the positive direction, you like obviously what you saw from Garrett Wilson generally. I think you like what you saw at times from the offensive line, specifically in pass pro. Watching back the tape, I thought in pass pro they were pretty good. Not every rep, but generally pretty good. Again, especially guys like Vera Tucker, Moses coming off season-ending injuries, obviously. Simpson, a new starter. Tittman, kind of first week one start. Tyron Smith in a new environment, new quarterback. So I thought overall the pass pro was pretty good. I thought Rodgers himself was pretty decent. Was he perfect? Did he look rusty? Absolutely. Definitely looked a little bit rusty. You could see until he got hit, until he felt that pass rush, he definitely looked a little tentative in the pocket. I think that's totally natural, though. He talked about it himself today on Pat McAfee. He talked about it in the pregame last night. Hey, I got to be better. 4th and 1 throw to Wilson. Got to be better miscommunication, some drops thrown in there. One play on Lazard, I think moving around the pocket, he was a bit tentative on that Achilles and kind of just trusting it. Even the 4th play, honestly, you could see it with that Brees fumbled. Like you could see him kind of be a little tentative, and then he started getting rolling in that 3rd drive, and that was a thing of beauty. 12 plays, 72 yards, 7-minute drive, and he was feeling it. You could see the smile come out, and all effing day to Garrett Wilson, the whole 9 yards. So like, anything you should be optimistic about Rodgers. I went back again, watched it this morning, and some of the throws are high level. A couple of Lazard ones, a couple, changing some of the plays. Get Garrett involved, Garrett in the slot, putting guys in some motion. Like the offense produced, and again, obviously later in the game when Rodgers was out to keep him obviously healthy, and it was 30-12 at that point. Tyrod came in, was really damn good. Again, it's one drive, but it was against the Niners starters, and Tyrod looked like the reason that he's one of the highest paid backups in the league. I thought, defensively, not a lot looked great, to be honest. There was a couple Quincy Williams moments, a couple Michael Carter moments, a couple Sauce Gardner moments. Chuck Clark was okay. That's really it. Shout out to Tyler Conklin and Jeremy Ruckert had some nice moments blocking out on the edge. Although I'm not really sure why they were just used primarily as only blockers, but yeah, defensively it was a bit of a mess. I think that's the biggest by a bit of a mess. And it was pretty awful last night. I talked a lot pregame, on this pregame pod, and again, this will only be about 15 minutes or so, and I'll have a much longer format pod, on Thursday, kind of starting to preview Titans, and then Saturday as well. But that defense, I talked a lot about it, and it was like, hey, they match up quite well in terms of speed out on the edge. I thought from a defensive back perspective, and again, that was generally okay. You worried about the pass rush without Reddick, and you worried about efficient eyes and efficient tackling. The Jets over pursued the shit out of the football to a fault. They were over aggressive. Guys are cheating their assignments. People like Jermaine Johnson, who's a really damn good 3-down player, is trying so hard to beat the backside tackle, on some of this outside zones and these different things, and just either overran plays, opened up, cutback lanes. I thought Kinlaw had a couple nice moments, but generally wasn't very good last night. Solomon Thomas, Michael Clemens was probably the worst player in the field. Um, the Niners ran right at him over and over and over and over and over again. And, you know, Dominic Pooney took him out to lunch. I love Pooney in the draft, so I'm glad he was doing well. But it was tough. The linebackers, I didn't think it was one of CJ Mosley's best games by any means. He had couple plays, but generally speaking, some over pursuit, getting caught up on blocks. Quincy Williams would not by any means his best game. Tony Adams did not have a strong performance at all. Dropped interception and then kind of got run over a couple times. Got one hand to the face that didn't get called on Ayuk. But like after that third down conversion, it felt like the game was kind of out of control. As even though 7-3. Ashton Davis not his best night by any means. DJ Reed not his best night. They didn't tackle well. I think they had 18 missed tackles. It felt like they had 100. It felt like they'd pursue, get to the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and then boom, 10-yard gain. Even one that comes to mind that's crazy. I think it was 13-7 right before the half. Or maybe it was when it was 10-7, whatever it was. And, this reverse to Debo, he's like 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, out of field goal range now. Like, this is a huge play for the Jets defense. We're going to get off the field. We're going to force them out of field goal range. We're going to get our offense the football back right before the half. Debo breaks like 10 tackles and only loses like 2 yards. It's a play that Sauce Gardner looked like he might have gotten hurt on. Maybe it was 7-6 at that point, and they ended up scoring a touchdown, the next drive, whatever it was. But it just, like, little plays like that, they could not tackle well. Again, over pursuit, guys cheating assignments. I thought the Jets' personnel usage was weird. Too much for defensive line rotation for a team that practiced really hard during camp, and the 3 joint practices. Like, I get the rotation for sure. It's part of the system, but they look light on the defensive line. A lot of guys that have potential to be good down the line, a Leonard Taylor, and Eric Watts, and Braden McGregor, have potential for sure. Like Will McDonald got a lot of potential. Those are all great things, but they got a bad Jermaine game. They got a really bad all-around game from the Tuesday line. Michael Clemens was very bad. Quinnen was good, but like he wasn't special Quinnen, and unfortunately, they kind of needed special Quinnen last night. It felt like. So it was rough there. The Niners took advantage. The schemes, the calls from McVay, from Shanahan. He's obviously a genius at it. And again, I know Connor's gonna, and Joe will talk about this on the pod later on the Badlands feed. But like, look, you're not gonna see Kyle again this year. And he does this to the Rams. And he does this to everybody, the Lions, all these different teams. Like, it happens. But it was just frustrating. I just felt like couldn't tackle the whole thing with this system and this scheme is like, they're going to try to get you off your spot. They're going to try to get you to peeking, looking for different things, and then, not wrapping up. They got really lucky Christian McCaffrey didn't play, and in some ways it feels like the Jets overthought this a little bit defensively from a scheme perspective. It was like got away from what they're good at, and it felt like they tried to just, at points play man when they didn't. I don't know that they needed to play man, and like their corners and DBs were fine. Like they were holding up in terms of coverage at most of the time, but obviously when you have no pass rush, people are going to get open. It just felt like why they weren't selling out for the run and like saying like Brock Purdy go beat us just didn't make sense because you should trust your secondary there. They blitzed, it wasn't effective. And then the last thing defensively, and Salah again mentioned, I keep hinting at it, but like just kind of the cheating the assignments in terms of like if your job is to be in one spot, you got to be in that spot. You can't just because you think you know what's going on, then you want to make a big play. Like that's when the Niners gash you. And it was a slow, methodical, death by a million cut, 6 field goals. It was tough, man. They were on the field a heck of a lot. I think 72 plays to the starting offense is 38. 38 plays Rodgers played. So, it was frustrating. They missed JFM last night, big time. That move will never make sense to me. I didn't get it at the time. I crushed them for it at the time, and I'm going to crush them again now. If it was to save the $7 million in cash, it just doesn't make sense. He was a 3-down player. Really good against the run, was able to free up Quinnen, was able to, set a hard edge. He was really good in the run game and obviously a good pass rusher. So frustrating move there. And then look, the Reddick situation is what it is. It's been a disaster. Just got to get him into camp. Well, not in camp. I mean, it's week 2 and, they got a game in 5 days. I understand fans being angry at Reddick. Totally get it. I understand the Jets being annoyed at Reddick. Totally get it. I understand Reddick being annoyed at the Jets. Totally get it. They need him. Would they have won last night with JFM and Reddick? I don't know, but it would have been a hell of a lot closer. I can tell you that much. And, they struggled to get a pass rush last night. And Reddick's one of the 5 or 6 best edge rushers in the league in terms of pass rush the last 5 or 6 years. Get him in the building and figure it out, because this is the last dance Jets, and we're all in, and it's only week 1. It's an out of conference loss against probably the best team on their schedule. Fair. But they got 4 winnable games here, and you want to take sure you win those games. You want to go into Buffalo 4-1, hosting them. You want to go into the bye week, whatever it is, 6-2, 7-2, whatever it is, and you want to feel really good about where you're at. And this offense looked decent last night. Again, run blocking, tough. I don't think they run block well. I thought there was a lot of lungings. AVT lunged a couple of times, got beat badly. Again, first game back, rusty. There's no question. But Morgan Moses got beat kind of front side a couple of times where he just didn't get to his spot. Tippmann the same. So run blocking wasn't great. Pass pro, again, as I mentioned, I thought was pretty decent. Rodgers pretty decent. The couple drives, the free play was freaking special, man. That was awesome. And I guess kind of to close here, I think the concerns again around this team are, obviously the health. I think some of the coaching. Do I feel great about Nate Hackett leaving that game? No, I don't. I didn't feel good going into it. I don't feel good leaving it. That said, Rodgers did change a bunch of plays, and they had, multiple options. He was able to change some plays, especially on that long touchdown drive and third down, put Garrett in a situation to go and win. They got to get Garrett the football more. Rodgers talked about it. Breece Hall was not very good last night. I thought he was one of his worst games, honestly, that I've seen him play, and still, still productive. I think he had 85, total yards and a touchdown, but the fumble, a drop, I just feel like he was not seeing it, the way he normally sees it. I would have just liked to see some 2-back stuff from the Jets kind of going forward against Tennessee. Get Braylon Allen in there on a 2nd and 1. Why use Breece Hall in that situation? Maybe 2 backs, get Breece Hall as a pass option. That was just a bit weird. And again, I felt like it was a lot of run, pass, which frustrating. Got to get back away from that. Rodgers, again, I think he'll get more and more comfortable. I'm very optimistic, actually, watching Rodgers, watching this offense. Three offensive touchdowns. They barely had the football. I mean, I think they could have done some serious damage. Obviously the drive, and it was 26-7, I believe, or 26-13, whatever it was. And, they get kind of screwed on Breece had a first down. Then Garrett was really inbounds, but, they overrule it. They miss on 3rd down. Rodgers misses on 4th down. Frustrating, but that'll get cleaned up. I think pretty much everything on that game tonight that went wrong is very fixable, whether it's personnel usage, whether it's rust, whether it's chemistry playing together, all these things. They just can play a heck of a lot better. This was they played a D- game, and the Niners probably played a B+ game, and the Jets probably need to play an A- game and win tonight, regardless of McCaffrey, and weren't able to get it done. So I understand the panic. Again, it's week 1. Tampa Bay Bucks 4 years ago, in Tom Brady's first ever real game with the Bucks, got steamrolled against the Saints. Started the year, I think, 5-4, and went on a run, and I think won 6 in a row to finish the year and dominated the playoffs. Rodgers in years past, you look back at his last 2 MVP seasons, they got steamrolled in week 1. They came out, set a tone in week 2, and then I think they rattled off 12 of 13, in 2022 or 2021. I apologize. He ended up winning MVP back-to-back. So I understand the panic. Shout out to Israel Damas in the Badlands Discord. I want to make sure I give him a shout out. But everyone, I understand the panic. I'm not telling you last night was pretty. I get it. It's week 1. Week 1 lies, for positive or for negative. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. They're going into 4 winnable games here in a row, all games they'll be favored in. I would just say take a deep breath. Luckily, the Jets play football again in 5 days. The Titans are not going to be any, no pushovers. There's some serious talent there, and they'll run the football well, and the Jets are going to have to be prepared, bring their hard hat, to work on Sunday afternoon. But certainly opportunities to turn Will Levis over. Certainly opportunities to, throw the football around the yard a little bit, with Aaron Rodgers. And again, another week of him feeling better and, kind of getting back into it. 610 days, right? For us, first time's completed a football game in almost 2 years. So, woosah, deep breath. Shitty start, for sure, but signs of life on offense. Defense will be much better, easily correctable. Got to do your job, better pursuit angles, tackle better, catch the opportunities you can, get Hassan Reddick in the building. And then again on offense, clean up some of the mistakes, try to establish the tone a little more creativity in the play calling, different formations, use of motion a bit more. Garrett in the slot. He's got to get plays on offense again. 38 plays for Rodgers versus 72 for the starting defense. So, again, quick 15 here, back in a longer format on Thursday. But appreciate it for listening. Make sure you guys, like, subscribe, rate, review. It really helps out the show. Appreciate it for listening. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday.